All righty. Hello. This is Pardon My Positivity and pardon me while I get Jen back in here. Let's restart her video. Where's my participants?
I can't start the video.
There you go.
There
Here we go. Look at you. I'm
right.
forever to get used to that. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to Pardon My Positivity. All right, the show today is, for those of you who don't know, this Pardon My Positivity is a podcast that focuses on putting happy in your everyday life and making positive choices so you can live a happier, healthier lifestyle. My name is Paula. I'm the host of your show. By day, I'm an accountant, and at night, I'm a bartender, and I'm all the time, not because my life is wonderful, but because I choose to be happy. So I chose to start this podcast and my pages that I have that promote positivity and happiness, so I could help the rest of the world try to make those same kind of changes in their life. So every 2 weeks or so, we have a show. And tonight, our show is about giving without sacrificing yourself. And every time I have a show, I have a special guest. And tonight, my guest is Jen Kaiser. Hi, Jen.
Hey, Paula.
I actually met Jen through social media, which is pretty cool to me. Back up a decade or two, and we didn't have friends like that. We couldn't meet people on social media the way that we do. So, but I now have Jen in my life, and she happens to be another very positive person. And I'd like to give her the opportunity to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hey, so I am new, I guess, to this whole thing. I know a lot of my time was spent giving a lot of myself, which ended up draining the bank. And I've looked into myself through a lot of healing process. And, that's how I met up with Paula. I think she just resonated with me. Just the good people stand out, that's for sure. But, it's just a healing journey that I'm on. Lets me really look at life the way it needs to be, and don't let things get you down, and try and be happy as much as you can. Things you can change, things you can't. And, I do the things in my business I do to help people, from, financial services. I help teach people with, structuring their money and all of that stuff. So that allows me to help people and to give back a little bit, give back to everybody. So that's just a little bit of my story.
I think that's great. Like, we all have backstories of how we got to where we are now. A little backstory for anybody who's new to the show. I I struggled a lot with depression, and I'm a suicide attempt survivor. So I had a lot of things going on throughout my entire life, learning progressively how to deal with things. But in the last couple of years, my 20-year marriage had dissolved a couple of years ago, and I realized I had to be part of my healing. So I really started focusing on, about a year ago, I really started focusing on making positive changes in my life, because I realized that it wasn't his job to make me happy. It wasn't anybody else's job to make me happy. It was my job to make me happy. So I really embarked on this journey to improving my own happiness. And that's what got us here now, a year later, and sharing with so many people. So um, I'm glad Jen's story brought her to me and to us, and I didn't turn off my ringer. So that was my best friend. Thanks. But today's show is, we're talking about giving without sacrificing yourself. So when we talk about giving without sacrificing yourself, which, by the way, this is running live on YouTube and on Facebook. It's on my personal Facebook, and it's on Glitter Shoes and Happiness too. So if at any point you're watching and you want to comment or ask us a question, please hook up on Facebook on my personal page, Paula Lynch, and we'll see it pop up, because I've got it running on my phone now that I shut the ringer off.
Yeah.
So have a great show. Thanks. All right. So giving without sacrificing yourself. So this one is very personal for me, because this is something I did like my entire life. For those of you who don't know, I am a big sister of very many siblings. So as an older kid, when you have 9 brothers and sisters, you automatically start taking on a mommy role at a very young age. So I was taking care of them when I was a kid. I had my children at a young age. So by the time I was old enough to drink, I already had 2 kids. So yeah. So I went from taking care of my siblings to taking care of my children. Then I had 4 kids. And when they got older and didn't need me as much, I started throwing myself into volunteering with Girl Scouts and different cancer groups. And so I was just giving of myself all the time. And the problem with that is, when you give so much of yourself, you start to believe that your self-worth is based on how much other people need you, or how much you can give to other people. And that's not, yes, right?
Absolutely.
So you start to feel like, if people don't need me, well, I'm worthless. And that's not the case. So that's why this particular topic resonates so much with me. I know, Jen, you have kids, and the fields you work in, I know you had to have felt this way at some point.
I do. And I think that's why I chose this subject, because I used to, just like you, base my value to somebody on what I can do for them and how I could accommodate them. And I think it got to a point that I shut down. I was so empty, and I had nothing left to give. And I think it scared me in a way, because I felt, well, then I'm not going to be of value to these people in my life. And, you get to the point that says, you have to let me step back, let me breathe a little bit, because sometimes it's like you're suffocating, and you have to give me a minute to sit back and be able to get myself together. And then I can give you what I have. But, there has to be, some sort of give and take, a little bit. It can't just constantly be draining. Like you say, your cup is half full, or, you can't pour from the coaster. It has to overflow in yourself in order to give to anybody, because, you're just tired and you're run down. And, sometimes you can get angry even at the people for expecting more from you than you can give to them. And it just gets a whole mess. But I think it's good to understand where your boundaries are, how much you can give healthy, and still be healthy, and you're not fatigued, and you're not, constantly getting sick or catching colds because your immune system's run down and just there's nothing left. So, it's so important to understand where your boundaries are and what you can give to somebody. And it just creates for a healthier relationship also, because then you don't have that animosity. Like, why do you keep trying to pull from me when I don't have nothing left? So it just gets really hard, relationship wise, and you have to know your boundaries, which is something over the past, I would say 4 to 5 years, I've definitely learned where my boundaries are, because I didn't have any boundaries before. It was
Me too.
always, yes, it was
You
just
need me,
always,
I'm coming.
yes,
You want it, you have it.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just, and it's crazy because you feel like you have to do that in order for them to love you or appreciate you or even need you.
Yeah.
And like you, I had 2 kids before I could drink. I had 2 kids already.
Yeah.
And so, you're that mom, and then you're the wife, and then, all that kind of, just not that it ends being a mom, but the needs, they
Mhm.
don't need you as much in the same aspect of things. So then your value there is questioned a little bit, because then it's like, well, they don't need me, and I'm not a wife anymore, and they don't need me as a mom like they did. And where do I fit into this world? Like, who
No.
am I? And that's when you become, Paula or Jen. And, that's where you're like, but who am I? I don't know what I like and anything. So yeah, you
What
have
am
to
I if
figure
I'm
it
not
out.
Natasha's mom?
Yes.
What am I if I'm not Wade's wife? What am I if I'm not, Rebecca's mom? If I'm not
Yes.
Victoria's Girl Scout leader? What am I? I have no identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a hard part too. So I
Yeah.
think it's important to say, one of the hardest parts about talking about self-care is people really confuse self-care with being selfish. They
Yeah.
really do think that people are practicing self-care are being selfish, and we need to define right now and put that to bed right now, that when you're being selfish, you're taking things from other people,
Yeah.
right? When you're feeling entitled, you feel like you should get to have everything, right? So if there's a pie and you eat the whole pie when there's 8 people, then you're being selfish, right? If you're I don't know, if you feel like you're entitled, you think you should be able to have all the pie where nobody else should be able to have any pie, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that you're exhausted, so you don't have the time to make the pie. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what we're talking about. We're talking about you needed to sleep because you didn't get to sleep, and you needed to take care of yourself, so you didn't make the pie so the other 8 people could eat the pie. That's a different thing. It's not selfish, it's not entitled, it's self-care. It's taking care of yourself. So we need to put that to bed immediately, because in our society we think no means we're being selfish, and that is not what no
I
means.
don't know.
No simply means I cannot provide that for you.
Right.
So we need to make sure we recognize that. So self-care, easy definition of self-care is making sure your own needs are met
First.
before
Yes.
you try to help other people. And so I was telling Jen earlier, you'll hear me, I love to make analogies. So tonight my analogy is going to be a car, right? Because most of us have cars, and we understand that our cars need certain things. Our cars need gas, our cars need oil, our cars need antifreeze. We recognize our cars need these things. We would never expect our cars to drive without a battery, without gas. We don't expect these things to happen with our car. Why do we expect them to happen with our body, right? And that's just basic needs of your car. For those of us who want to optimize our cars or enjoy our cars, right? You put premium gas in your car so it runs better. Maybe you put a better sound system in the car so the ride's more enjoyable. Maybe you put a GPS in the car because you travel a lot and don't like getting lost. These are also forms of self-care that you have to make sure you have your basic needs met. Things like getting enough sleep, getting the good diet, and getting some exercise. But you also want to make sure the extra things are taken care of so that your body and your mind can perform at optimum capacity. Though those are things like making sure you have time with your friends, making sure you can sit down and read a good book or go to the movies. Those are not things you need to live every day, but things you need to get the most out of your life. It is okay to say no to other people because you're fulfilling one of those optimizing goals. So that's my analogy for this show. Say you're a car and you need gas, but you also need good gas.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think Jen touched on that a little bit, that or with some of the stuff she was talking about earlier, that we give and give and give and give and give to people. And if we do that all the time, if we just constantly keep giving to people, then we can't take care of ourselves. And that's just it. We're giving everybody else our gas. We can't put it in our own car and we can't go anywhere, right?
Right.
So the next part of our story here today is recognizing when you're giving too much. So I know, Jen, you were talking about when you were things that happened to you that you feel like.
I mean, when I first created boundaries, I would say, clearly was at the end of my marriage. So I think I always, like I said, I equated what I could do for somebody with my value in their life. And I think it just got to the point that I burned out. I was stressed out working full time. I was in school for nursing, and I was taking care of a house of 6 people. And I burned out. And I wish I would have found out sooner to say no, instead of, blowing up. Some people just gets implosive, but just knowing the signs to get your needs met, like you didn't get enough sleep, or can you sleep in the morning and somebody else do whatever needs to be done, let the pet out or whatever it is, let somebody else help you. And a lot of it is understanding that you're overwhelmed, and above that, being able to verbalize, to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think being raised by a strong single mom, it was always throw it on my back. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. And, you take that on, and that is exhausting. And I think as kids, we don't understand how exhausting that was until we're moms, or even just parents. And, you just keep taking it on. Like, I got this, go ahead, throw it on my back. And you just have to be able to verbalize and say, I need help. My plate is full.
This guy that I work with, he always says, if you want something done, give it to the person that has no time to do it. Because that's the person that'll get it done for you, because they have no time to do it, but they're the ones that'll get it done because they know how to get it done, because they're always doing this all the time. So that's who you take it to. Yeah. So Jen was saying that she completely shut down, like breakdown. That's one of the signs. Like that happens to a lot of people. You go, and then all of a sudden, like, you have the flu and you're out for a week. And that's because you're not catching that your body is giving you these little signals all the time. Your body's saying to you, hey, you need some more rest. Hey, you need to get some better food in your body. Hey, change things up. You're cranking out too much right now. So it completely shuts down, right? Also, you should listen to your feelings more. I'm an overthinker. I know I'm an overthinker. And so a lot of times, that's one of the barriers that I have, where I'm trying to work on those things. So I will say to myself, am I just overthinking this, or is this an actual problem? But at no time should you ignore your feelings. Whatever feelings it is you're having, you don't always have to react negatively with your feelings. I love to say to people, you can't control your feelings, you control what you do with your feelings, right? So don't ignore your feelings. So if a situation is making you uncomfortable, that is your brain telling you that it's not right. right? For whatever reason. Now, on occasion, because I'm an overthinker, my brain is telling me it's not right. And I gotta, like chill out a little bit because how much does it really matter and how much do I control and things along those lines. But uh never ignore your feelings. So especially when it comes to something like doing for other people, because let's say today I make plans to help my father on Saturday empty out his garage. And then Saturday comes, and today I feel fine about helping my dad. I love my dad. I want to help my dad empty his garage. He has this thing to do. I'm going to go do that for my dad because I love him. Saturday comes and I do not want to go empty out that garage. I can think of 1,000 things I'd rather do than empty that garage. That's my brain telling me that I am not getting enough self-care. Because if on Sunday, this Sunday, I'm wonderful with helping my dad and feel good about helping my dad, but come Saturday, I don't want to have anything to do with helping my dad. I'm not taking care of myself well enough that my attitude maintained for 6 days. So listen to your feelings. And your body and your brain tells you when you're pouring out too much to people. So we got a couple comments coming in. So I just want to shout out to all these people. They're all hellos. But we got Debbie said hello. Hi, Debbie. Debbie,
Hi, Debbie.
like every time we're on. James Flamish, who is one of my biggest supporters out there. And Wheatley. Hi, Ryan, who was on my last show. They're all popping in to say hi. And we have a bunch of watchers on the different pages too. So thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you have a question or comment and you want to shout in, I am watching the Paula Lynch page. So if you're on Glitter Shoes, hop in as too. Hop on the other one because I don't have a production manager yet. It's not in my budget. So I'm hoping to get somebody to take care of those things for me. But until then, I need to watch one page. So moving on. Hello. Let's see. Examples of self-care. So this is, well, we have to make sure we tell you how you can practice self-care. We can't just talk about how important it is and talk about how we can't pour from an empty cup or pour from the coaster. We have to actually give you advice on how to. I just got a volunteer to be my production manager. Thank you, Devin.
Nice.
He actually is like a streamer who plays video games and stuff. So that's cool. A pretty big compliment that he's gonna come on my show. Anyway, so examples of self-care. Forgive me for reading these off of paper, but when there's that many of them, my brain's not 22. All right, so first one is move your body. Move your body in whatever way you want to move your body. Okay, people who know me in real life know I really don't like exercise, structured exercise. So I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to run 5 miles. But I like to do things like, let me get up and reorganize the kitchen. Let me go downstairs and clean up the basement. Let me go out and sweep the patio. And that's all moving your body. So move your body is a good example. Write it down. I'm a big advocate for journaling. How about you, Jen?
No, never got into it. No.
So journaling, to write things down, you don't have to write a journal. You can write out your plan for the day. You can write, if somebody peeves you off, you can just write a little, I can't stand you letter and rip it up and throw it in the trash. That all counts as write it down. So that helps you to recenter, refocus, and get your brain ready for the next adventure you're having. Meditation. So I've never been real big on formal meditation, but I know a lot of people who are. My forms of meditation are more like, well, I call them my ponderings every day, where I sit there and I think about my day and I have my coffee. It's just me and my puppy and my coffee, and I center myself and focus on my life and being appreciative. And even though I'm not, when I was young, I had an uncle who actually taught me to clear my brain, like close my eyes and completely, which is almost impossible because I'm an overthinker. So, to make my brain blank, that was like insane. So Uncle would teach me to clear my mind. And I got to the point where I could actually do it. And I was like 12 at the time. And then as soon as I was able to do it, my grandmother yelled at him because she believed that that would allow demons to get into my
Oh
brain.
no.
So my mind was empty. So then I was terrified at 12 to empty my brain anymore. But anyway, the point is, I don't practice meditation like that, but I do practice a form of reflection every day. Right. What else? Go outside. Yeah. Do you like to get out a lot? I love hiking.
I do. Yeah. Nature, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, for sure.
Right now it's hard. It's
It
cold.
is.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, right now it's not too bad because we've had this nice little stint where it's been so warm. But on in wintertime, it can be bad. This time of year is really bad for a lot of people emotionally because you're stuck in the house. This is that time of year where it gets sticky for a lot of folks because
It
the
does.
holidays are over and you can't go outside and you got to pay all your credit card bills. So everybody's kind of mopey right now, but try to get outside if you can, if it's not too cold. Exercise your brain. This is my favorite. And if I mention in Jen that what you are really passionate about, please interrupt me.
Okay.
This one is one of my favorites because it's the biggest one for me. My grandmother, my nan, this is my paternal grandmother. She was my person, and we lost her in 2004. And she would say to me all the time that your brain, Paula, is like any other muscle. And if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it eventually. And my mother actually has early onset Alzheimer's, so it's very important to me to take my other grandmother's advice because I want to keep using my brain and exercising that muscle. Not that I'm sure that it'll save me from anything that happens to me in the future, but I know that I want to keep utilizing my brain. So I take
Yeah.
classes, I learn new things, I do puzzles, I do crosswords, and my grandmother did the same kind of stuff. So exercise your brain helps you. That's a form of self-care because you're taking time for yourself to benefit just yourself.
Yeah.
Make something, be creative. I love this one too. This is one of my favorite ones too. And there's so many platforms to do this now in our world because you can go to, like painting with a twist or board and brush. If you're really not creative at all, you can take a cooking class. There's so many outlets for you to be creative without naturally being a creative person. Like maybe you're not the kind of person that can take a canvas and make a piece of art, but everybody's the kind of person who can bring a bottle of wine and painting with a twist. They don't care what it looks like at the end.
No, they
And
don't.
you get to have a bottle of wine with your friends and make, some flowers that look like daisies. I don't know what it is. So be creative really helps is a form of self-care. Then we have explore. That's another good example that I really like. Um, they the suggestion I read somewhere was to explore your neighborhood or your city where you live, which is great, but this is another one that's high on my list, and it's actually kind of on my 2023 list of improvements for myself, is to get out there and visit more places. Because I really have not traveled extensively, and I don't mean I got to travel all over the world. I just got to get out of my house
Yeah,
and,
sure.
like learn things about other places. I don't want to just go to a hotel and sit on a beach. I want to go there and learn about the sharks that are there that I can snorkel around, or the plants that are growing in that area. Or like I've never been to the Grand Canyon. That's like top on my list because I really want to see that and learn about it. And I'm helping my brain in multiple ways then by exploring at the same time. I know people too love to explore. Really popular now is exploring abandoned places.
Oh,
Like lots of people like to do that nowadays. My daughter's big into that. Please, if you're
yeah.
gonna explore abandoned places, never go places by yourself like that. Okay, so bring a friend. And a lot of abandoned places are illegal. Don't just go running around in places that are not. Don't want to get in trouble because you're out exploring. So let's be safe while we're giving ourselves self-care. Plan a night out. What's your
Yes.
favorite kind of night out?
I think just with fun people, just out and having fun. It could be in the backyard, at the fire pit, kicking a couple back, and it could just be something as simple as that,
Yeah.
or go to a venue, concert, the fairs when it's fair season, just anything, to get moving, because then it moves your body and you're talking to people and you feel like, more involved, and not
Yes.
just sitting there and in your own thoughts, because sometimes when you're in your own thoughts, it's the worst place sometimes you can be. So so
Overthinker over
yeah,
here.
I am too. Yeah, it's terrible sometimes, and you just got to get out of there. And everybody's definition is different, because money levels are different and what you can do, but there's a lot of stuff you can do for free. Just get out and meet people. And I know up here, because I'm up in Lehighton, they had like a line dancing down here at the Riverwalk or whatever. And I was like,
Nice.
I wanted to go, but then I didn't have nobody to go with. And I'm like, I don't want to not know anybody there. But, I still got to get out of the box a little bit. But, things like that, just get out and
Get
move
out there.
around. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Because
know,
it'll be fun. It feeds your soul. You learn, different,
that's
everything. It's just fun.
Jen and I are both single, but this also works. I plan a date night, works too. It's just we
Yes.
don't happen to have dates, but
Yeah.
not right now. But
Not
we can
right
date
now.
each other. We'll go on a date. Me and Jen will go on a date, and
Yeah.
we'll plan a night together. Yeah, it's important to get out. It's also important to plan the night, because
Yes.
when you plan it all out, then one, you're triggering things in your brain when you're planning it all out, and two, it can help you identify barriers for yourself, because when the day comes and you're like, oh, I don't want to go sing karaoke. All right, then maybe you really need some self-care because you were excited about this 4 days ago, and now yeah, I personally am much better with plans for going out than let's do something Friday. Because if you just say, let's do something Friday, and there's no time and there's no place and there's no agenda, then I start to feel like, are we going Friday? Are we not going Friday?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like I need more structure than that. But if you're a wing it person, then you do you, boo, and however you need to do. So
It's
let's
anticipation though, too. Like when you
yes.
have the plans, it's anticipation, something to be excited about. Yeah.
You for bringing that up. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that. I just said that the other day on my ponderings, that it's good to have something in the future that you're looking forward to,
Yep.
because then you're like, oh, I only have like a month before my vacation. But if
Right.
you never have something planned, then you never have something fun to look forward to. It's just not as easy to get through the sticky stuff if you don't have something fun a little down
Yes.
the line.
Right.
So for a completely different reason, it's great to have stuff planned for your
Yes.
future. Let's see, what other ones do I got on here? Rest and recharge. We know we got to do this. Get enough sleep. None of us get enough sleep. I just did a little video about this the other day. We are supposed to get 7 hours of sleep. I know nobody gets 7 hours of sleep, but try to get enough sleep. But sleep is important, but it's also important to rest. I personally am a person. This is how me all the time. And when I finally rest, when I finally sit, I fall asleep because I don't rest often, right? So I have to actually schedule rest. If I don't put it on my schedule, then it's not rest, it's boredom. And then boredom gets in my brain and I have problems with boredom. So I have to schedule rest. So I schedule things like, okay, I get my nails done every 2 weeks, right? So it doesn't have to be something where you pay somebody to do your nails every 2 weeks. Maybe you say, every Friday at 7 o'clock, I'm going to read my book, right? Or every Sunday from 2 to 4, I'm going to sit in the garden and watch the birds. And I say this because I know a guy who has a garden and he has birds out there, John. And, but whatever it is for, it doesn't have to be like I'm literally going to a nail spa, right? It doesn't have to be spa day, right? But schedule rest, schedule downtime where you can enjoy the not having to do anything. So every time I go to the nail salon, every 2 weeks, it's an hour, somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, depending on if it's mani pedi kind of thing, that my phone is off, I'm relaxed, I get a little bit of massage, and nothing can bother me on those days. And that's really important to my self-care. If I don't get that, then I start to feel wonky because I didn't have that time. And there are times when I'll go there and I'll get a manicure, and at the end of it, I realize I need more relax. You know what I mean? You ever feel that way
Yep.
where you get to do something relaxing and you get to the end of it and you're like, oh no, this can't be
Wasn't
done
enough.
yet.
Yeah.
I need more relaxing. So then I know I got to schedule something else relaxing
Right.
because my body needed more of it. Right. So maybe, I'll schedule a day off, or I'll get a massage, or I'll rent a movie and just sit on the couch or something like that. So make sure you get rest and relaxation. And another one of my favorites is try something new. This is a great way for self-care, and it's a great way to improve your brain and your happiness in other ways, is to keep trying and learning new things. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, like I just got certified to be a life coach. That was a new thing. I took a Spanish class recently. That wasn't a new thing because I've taken Spanish class before, but I was trying it again and I realized what some of my language barriers are. But I love to try new things to keep my mind open, and it really does improve your happiness. You got anything you want to try that's on your bucket list, Jen?
Well, it's sure not skydiving.
Yeah,
Uh,
everybody says sky. I don't want to.
no, I
I
don't think
want to
I can do
scuba
that.
dive or
Yes,
snorkel. Yes,
that,
I want
yes,
to do that. I've never done that.
yes, yes, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and
But
I
I
want to
think,
go snowshoeing. I
well,
hate cold and I hate, heavy exercise, but snowshoeing, when I was heavier, that was something I could never even fathom doing. There's
right.
no way somebody who was my previous size could snowshoe. It would be impossible. So it's kind of like I want to see if I can do that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but new things, try to do new things.
Yeah.
So, what is this little note I have here?
I mean, even with self-care, it could be something as simple as your morning coffee routine. And, before everybody wakes up, if there's littles in the house, you have to get ready for school. You just set your alarm for 30 minutes before then and sit and have your cup of coffee and listen to nothing,
Yeah.
until then, when you have to wake all the littles up, get them moving. But just that half hour that you're carving out for yourself, it's just you. And it's
Yeah.
not you wondering, this is everything I have to do today. This is you just clearing your mind and relaxing.
Yeah.
Not stressing out everything that needs to be done and this needs to go to this sport practice or wherever. It's just to clear your mind and reevaluate yourself and what your needs are. And, it's okay to sometimes, it's okay to tell people no and, not be there. And I used to have a problem with saying no because I used to feel guilty. Because then they're like, well, why not? And well, because because. But just little things like that, even if it's just staying up a half hour later than everybody, waking up a
Yeah.
half hour earlier, you have to carve time out for yourself. Or it becomes difficult and it's just not fun. So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
life's about having fun and, you can have fun along the ways of doing all your structure stuff. And you have to find any time throughout the day to have those moments for yourself, not to prepare for anybody else, but just to do for you. Because, at the end of the day, like you said earlier, Paula, like other people are not responsible for our happiness. We're responsible for our own happiness. And we have to identify what makes us happy.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's thinking, even with your cup of coffee, what makes me happy? What do I need? What do I want? Out of life. And it's just evaluating your life where you're at, where you want to be, set goals, and life shouldn't be so stressful. I don't know.
That's right. You're absolutely true. And that's actually a piece of advice, that we want to give everybody is that, our body tells us when we need to slow down, but it's actually a really great idea on a regular basis to think about, am I giving myself enough self-care? Like, your body gives you signs that aren't as drastic as, you get the flu. Like,
Right.
when my hair starts to grow in right here and I see it, I go, oh, okay, it's time for some self-care. I need to go to a hair salon, kind of thing. Or, maybe earlier today, I was having a great morning. I had a great night last night. And then earlier today, midday, I was starting to feel, because I have a lot of stuff on my plate right now. I was starting to feel like, oh, I feel really overwhelmed right in this moment. Right. And so, I evaluated, why am I feeling, there's no reason for me to feel this way. I'm not sick. There's nothing bad going on. I'm actually having a pretty great life right now. So why am I feeling like this right this second? And so I was like, okay, address it. Right. I need to give myself some self-care. So I started my day over again. I didn't have coffee again because I didn't need any more caffeine, but I pretty much said, I went and took a little nap. And then I had a shower, and then I did my hair and played my music and restarted my day in the middle of the day, because I needed some me time, to stop doing laundry and cleaning the kitchen and doing that project for work that I didn't get done on Friday. And I just stopped doing all of that and take care of me. So, yeah,
Super important.
even if it's just, even if, like you were saying, half hour before work, a half hour after everybody goes to bed, lunch breaks. How many of us skip lunch breaks because we're doing things for other people or other parts of our lives? So we don't actually even take the time to leave our desk or leave our job and sit down and eat, much less do something for ourselves a little more pleasurable. We don't even take the time to actually put healthy food into our bodies on our lunch breaks. So,
Right.
but the other thing Jen just said was that it's okay to say no to people. So that's the other part we want to cover before we get to the end, is recognizing, like, we can tell you all day, you need to self-care, you need to take time for yourself. But if you're dealing with takers all the time, you're never gonna take care of yourself. Right. So if you have people in your life who are constantly taking from you, and they're people you love, so you're constantly gonna let them take from you, right? Then all of what we set up into this point does not matter, because you're gonna continue to give too much, because that's what takers do. What did you say earlier to me
What do they
today,
say?
Jen?
Givers need boundaries because takers don't have any.
Givers need boundaries because takers don't have them. And so often we don't even recognize their takers until they've taken from us over and over and over and over again. Like, once they've completely depleted us, or once something dramatic like a divorce happens, then you're like, oh my gosh, all this time I was giving and they were taking, I was giving and they were taking, and they never gave back. So some quick little tidbits so you can recognize takers before you pour all of yourself into a huge abyss of a taker. I give you some little clues, right? Takers always speak in I and me, or mostly speak in I and me, right? So that's you might not catch that one, because when you're talking to people, they never say we, they never say us. It's always about what I want to go to the store, I'm going to do this later, my house, my things, kind of deal. Let's see what else. Takers rarely reciprocate, right? Now, I don't want to rip on my ex too much, but I used to throw him the greatest parties and the greatest vacations, and I would do it all over again because I'm a giver. And so I want his 40th birthday to be the most amazing thing ever. So I'm going completely all out and doing everything that I can possibly think of, right? And or I got us tickets right behind home plate at a baseball game for his birthday and things like that. And he would forget my birthday, or he would go out the day before my birthday and buy me a present because he wasn't reciprocating like the same that I was. He wasn't giving what I was giving. So those are signs. If you always feel like they're not putting in as much as you are, that's a sign. If they always make you feel like you're not giving enough.
Yes.
So you keep giving and you keep giving, but yet they're always like, man, if I had $5 more, I could have paid everything off. Right. I gave you all my money.
Yep.
You needed 5 more, yeah. Or you make this fabulous meal and they say, man, that would have been really good if you just hadn't put onions in it. Was it really good or was it not really good? I don't know. So those are little signs from takers. Let's see. Oh, they don't listen. That's a great one. And
Yes.
an easy one to pick up on, that they don't listen. Because if you have to tell somebody, that every year on 4th of July, we have a picnic in my family. And by year 10, if they don't realize you're having a picnic on the 4th of July, then they're probably not listening to you talk about your family and the 4th of July. Let's see what else. Oh, they only show up when something's in it for them. So takers are not usually big on volunteering or helping other people. And if they are, it's because they expect something in return. I won't say who it is, but it was a family member of mine who is no longer with us. They were an older member of the family, and they always did stuff like that. They always did stuff like, here, let me buy you a brand new furniture set. And then a month later, when they needed somebody to help them move, they'd be like, I need you to help me move. And you go, oh, I can't help you that day, I work. But I bought you a furniture set. You didn't buy the furniture set because you like me. You bought it because you were buying a favor. That's they never do anything without an ulterior motive or unless there's something in it for them. Like one of my favorite stories is I once was dating somebody in my 20s where I was like, I need to go to Walmart to go shopping. Would you like to go with me? And they were like, will you buy me something? Red flag. But I was in my 20s, so I didn't even know what red flags were then. So, but yeah, they only do things if it's going to benefit them. So that's just some quick signs on how to recognize takers in your life, right? And when you notice there's takers in your life, there's certain things you can do to minimize the problems there. The first one is, Jen talked about it a couple of times. Say no. That's right. Say no. Takers hate when you say no.
They do.
Takers really hate when you say no.
It's okay now.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be hard to say no. It's gonna be really hard to say no, but you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to love yourself and say no.
Absolutely.
You're allowed to. The other thing is set boundaries. Second thing you can do, set boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to say to people, I'm gonna come and get you today, but I'm not gonna come and get you every Tuesday. You realize you have a problem every Tuesday. You need to take care of your own issue and not depend on me to fix it for you every Tuesday. That's just, you can't, I won't allow you to do that to me. So this is the boundary. And we're going to be friends, but you're not, when you start talking about that, I'm leaving the conversation because that is a subject that makes me uncomfortable. You're allowed to set those boundaries. You're allowed to say no. Another big way of dealing with takers is to stop doing things for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard.
Yes.
Sometimes it's hard, but it just is, you just have to, I don't want to say stick up for yourself, but yeah, stick up for yourself.
And that's right.
And I think I never used to, it would be like, even, my mom would be like, well, I want to go here. And I would stop what I'm doing and go help her. And it's like, well, I can bring you there today, but I won't be there for 3 hours because I have this already scheduled to do. And I never used to do that. But, there are things that, it's compromise. I can do this for you, but this is the window that I'm giving you, and it's okay. And if it's not okay with them, find another ride. I don't know,
That's
Yeah,
the boundary that you set, that
right.
I can do this for you, but it has to be within my time frame,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I can do this thing for you, but I have to be on my terms. And that's what,
Absolutely.
when we're talking about stop doing things for them, if they don't recognize your boundaries, or they continue to just take, then stop doing it. And I know it's so hard, especially if you're still in that faulty thinking that your self-worth is based on how much they need you, right? So when you believe you're worth more when they need you, it's so hard to stop doing for them. It's almost impossible to stop doing for them. But if you stop doing for them, if you stop giving and giving and giving, then maybe they'll stop taking because you're not giving it to them, but maybe they'll learn to stop taking and
Yeah.
start giving back, right?
Right.
So those are a couple of the ways, but not listen anywhere. And something that I have said a couple of times is, if you have a person who's a taker in your life, if you have a person who is draining your life, if you have someone who is causing you to give up all, you can't seem to keep the boundaries set, you can't seem to say no to them, or they're just draining you in any way, it is okay to let people go.
Yeah.
I say this, I know I sound like a broken record, but you don't have to maintain relationships with people who hurt you. They don't have to be punching you in the face or calling you a loser to be hurting you. You do not have to maintain relationships with people you're blood related to, with people you're married to, with people you've known your entire life. You do not have to maintain relationships with people who hurt your happiness, who cause you harm emotionally,
Right.
physically, mentally. It is okay to let them go. It does not make you a bad person if you want to be happy. In your life, there will be people who simply do not fit in your story. And that does not make you a bad person. That just makes you a bad fit for that person.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
It is okay to let them go. I mean, we are raised and it's drilled into us that we have to love and accept certain people. And that simply is not true. You do not have to let people take your happiness. I'm not saying you write off your brother because he forgot your birthday one time. I'm talking about those people that after you've communicated, after you've tried, after you've lovingly tried to have a good relationship with them, they continue to hurt you in some way. Don't just give up, drop of a hat,
Yeah.
first time my husband ever forgot our anniversary, that's it. We're gonna divorce. I'm dropping. That's not what I'm talking about. You have to communicate. You have to, try in relationships. But when you are confronted with someone who continuously does these things to you, it's okay to walk away. Knock
Happiness
it off.
vampires. That's what they
Yeah,
are.
that's it. That's it. So you have to protect your happy. Nobody else is going to protect it. I'm going to shout out a couple more of these comments that are here, right? The one says, "Hi, Aunt Paula," from my Nora, my little Missy Nora. And hi to her little brother Miles, too. So that he can't say hi because he's only a couple months old. But
Oh,
hello to them. And the Devin, who's saying be our production manager, says, "Best idea for someone to allow themselves to start something new that is foreign to them." Oh, he's asking for an idea to try something new. So best ideas to allow them start stuff. So how do you go about starting something new, trying something new? Well, you got to figure out what it is you want to try. So whatever piques your fancy, I guess, take a look around you and see, that seems interesting. That looks cool. But I guess the hardest part is just getting over yourself, and being brave enough to do it. But really, what's the worst that happens? Right now, if what you're doing is jumping out of an airplane, where we said we don't want to skydive, the worst that can happen is say a parachute doesn't open. But we're not talking about anything that extreme, of course. And you don't just get to jump out of an airplane. For anybody who doesn't know, you have to do that tandem. So you have to jump with people first, so you won't fall out of an airplane and die. But but when you're embarking on new things, it really is, look at the what ifs. Think about the what ifs. So if the new thing you're trying to do is, I don't know, that's how me and Jen are single, date. The new thing you're trying to do is date. I find it exhausting and exasperating sometimes, but I think to myself, what's the worst thing that happens is I got dinner. And what's the best thing that happens is I won't be alone on Christmas next year.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Devin has follow-up. Like, for instance, I really want to do editing, but the concept of learning it is a little different and not too easy. So trying to figure out the best way to go in with the best mentality. I think Jen, he wants to try editing, which means learning a new concept, learning a new skill, and he's nervous about entering into that. He wants to have the best mentality for it. But I think we kind of answered it with the weigh your what ifs.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen, and just kind of go with it. And sometimes you can hit a bumpy road and you just get back on and just keep doing it. You keep trying it.
That's right. All the challenges in your life, what's the best thing that happens? Best things happens is you go in there and you learn that course and you become an incredible editor, and you become even more popular than you already are, and you skyrocket on Discord and everywhere else that you're YouTube and where you're TikTok or wherever you're streaming. I can't remember everywhere he is. And worst case scenario is you take the course and you don't get out of it what you wanted to, but at least you know that you tried and you can move on to the next amazing thing in your life. I mean, if the worst case scenario is that you took a class, that's really not a bad day.
Yeah. Not at all.
Right? So he said, do you believe I should try it on my own, or I should actually take a course? Well, that depends on you. Self-learners, that's kind of a thing. If you're a self-learner and you can do that, then do it. Some people are not self-learners, but you know yourself better than anybody else. So yeah, you're everywhere. He says, I'm everywhere. So then maybe you should take a structured course, because then it would give you some structure and guidelines to get you where you need to be. There you go. All right. So it's almost time for the show to end. Not quite. We got a couple more minutes. But I wanted to share something really cool that I just learned. I'm always learning, and that's part of why I love this show, because you're welcome, Devin. Part of why I love this show is because as we come up with topics, of course, I research them and I put a lot of thought into things. And one of the things I learned today at this ripe old age of mine is that I always thought there was two kinds of people in the world. I always learned there's givers and they're takers, and you're a giver or you're a taker. Everybody's giver, taker, giver, take, giver, take. And of course, you want to be a giver, but sometimes you're a taker, and you have to learn how to be. But in the process of preparing for this show, I learned that there's actually three types of people. There's givers, there's takers, and there's matchers. And I didn't know matchers was a thing. And a matcher is a person that is willing to give, like they're a giving person, but they're not willing to give what they do not have. So they will not give you at the detriment to themselves. And matchers only give to relationships that reciprocate. So of course, it doesn't, it's not tit for tat all the time. You give to a newborn child, they're not going to reciprocate in the same kind of ways. But matchers give out to people in this world who also give back to the relationship. And in learning this, I really started thinking about my life and how my best relationships, like part of why I'm so happy at this point in my life, is because I have removed the relationships with people who are not matching me.
Yes.
Right? So I'm not just pouring into abysses, a buy, I don't know. I'm not pouring in any abyss anymore where people just take and take and take. I am giving my energy, giving my love, giving my effort to people who give the same level back to me. And, like my best friend in the world, all day, every day, we're back and forth, helping each other learn and grow and supporting each other. And it's really like this super example of matching where I can't believe that I went this long without having relationships like this one because it's so fulfilling, right? So
Healthy.
I want to, yeah, so healthy, not just for me, but for the other person involved. So I want to get rid of that old thinking that there's only givers and takers and let y'all know that there's matchers. And that is now that's like my new goal all the time is that I don't want to be a giver anymore. I want to be a matcher. And I want to find all the matchers and hang out with all the matchers and be friends with all the matchers. And we can be matchers together because that's amazing. So that was my final thought for the day. Be a matcher. You got anything you want to say, Jen, before we sign off with all of our friends here in the podcast land?
I think it's just important to realize where your boundaries are. It's so important. If you don't already know, it's good to sit and have that coffee in the morning and figure out, where your positive things in life are and just go with it, just live life, be happy.
Yep. Figure out what your happy is. If you don't know what it is, you can't get there.
Everybody's happy is different.
That's absolutely true too.
Yeah.
We're all different. I love to say that too. Well, thank you all for watching us. Thank you so much, Jen, for being with me. Another amazing show. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Got a special show coming up 2 weeks from now. And I'll give you more details on that real soon. And until we meet again, well, this happens every week. Remember, the key to your happiness